Our Europe editor, David Tweed, has been following all the developments in Brussels. He joins us there now with Megan Greene, David. She's Director, of course, of Global Economics at Greene Global Economics.
That's right. And, you know, just a few minutes ago, we were listening to President Francois Hollande talking about how the worst is over. Gosh, we've heard that before, but, well, maybe he's got a point. Do you think he's got a point?
No, absolutely not. Unfortunately, I don't think that this really has addressed any of the immediate crises as part of this crisis, and it really only handles the banking union side of things. They still have a long way to go on the fiscal union and on a political union as well.
Which, of course, they're going to try and broach at the end of this year. But let's just focus on the banking union, though, because they have established this legal framework, or they're going to establish this legal framework so they can get that banking union underway. How much progress actually is that? I mean, I wasn't actually expecting them to actually make that much progress.
It's true, though, you know, they've agreed to agree once again, which they have a history of doing. So we'll see the legislation set up by the end of the year, but there's a lot of vagueness still in terms of when it will actually be implemented and what that will mean for direct bank recapitalizations by the ESM.
And that's a massive issue for Spain, right? Because, you know, the direct bank recapitalizations are, in a way, Spain was counting on that so that they could actually reduce their total debt. But do you think that they've actually thrown in the towel and that they're not going to still push for it? What's the situation there?
I think they'll push for it. It's on the back burners now that we need to have an effective single supervisory mechanism, and so it's hard to say exactly what an effective one would be. I think Merkel's probably gotten a victory there and that she can push off direct bank recaps by the ESM until after the German elections next September. So I think Spain will push for it. In all honesty, I don't think it's a game changer for Spain anyhow. Even if they do get that win, I don't think it would make Spain more sustainable.
We sort of heard that from some Spanish officials who were telling us the same thing, that probably because of the amount that they need, it's not going to make such a big difference. But it could be a game changer for Ireland.
Well, on Ireland, too, I'm very skeptical about how much debt actually will be retroactively removed from the state's balance sheets by the ESM. I think for Ireland at this point, it's a bit like trying to unscramble an egg, parsing out sovereign and bank debt. So I don't think it would be a game changer for Ireland either, though, of course, it will help both Spain and Ireland.
What about the situation for the non-euro members? I mean, it's still very unclear how they're going to participate in this banking supervision.
Absolutely. That's one of the big questions that wasn't really answered at this summit. It's one of a few, actually. And so it's unclear if, you know, non-Eurozone countries participate, what will their representation be at the ECB? You know, none of that has really been broached at all.
I suppose one of the things that the Swedish Prime Minister said on the way out, though, is that if they have more, say, you know, if it's not just 18, but if in fact it's 26 who decide to be supervised by that single regulator, that could actually be a game changer for them.
For the Eurozone, it could be a game changer if you did have a banking union, but in and of itself, it's probably not enough. You need a fiscal union as well.
Right, right. Now, just looking ahead, there's still an awful lot that needs to be decided. Herman Van Rompuy's got an extremely ambitious agenda, which includes potentially a Eurozone budget. Do you think they're going to be able to come up with some sort of solution or some sort of, say, timetable for the roadmap by the end of this year?
I think it's very aggressive. I'm very skeptical. The amount of things that were discussed last night and then kind of punted to the finance ministers and to the summit at the end of December is huge. So, you know, I don't think they'll be able to come up with a full, clear, credible roadmap towards a banking and a fiscal union by the end of the year. I think that's too optimistic. They might make some progress.
Right. No, I just want to quickly turn to Greece because I thought it was quite interesting to hear that Francois Hollande in a way agrees with you. I noticed that you tweeted, I think it was last week, that you still think there's quite a big possibility that Greece could leave the Eurozone in the first half of next year. Was that it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and all of the agreements made last night, they do absolutely nothing to help Greece. And I was surprised that Hollande actually conceded so much. Essentially, I do think that Greece could still leave the Eurozone, if not in the first half of next year, then probably after the German elections. So, you know, I assign a 90% probability to Greece choosing to exit the Eurozone in a negotiated, managed effort. And I think the trigger probably would be a collapse of the current coalition.
Right, okay. But it looks as though at present time that the coalition is is going to be strong enough to at least get through to the end of the year. I've just come from Athens at the beginning of this week. I know that they're having troubles over the labour market reforms and how far they're going to go on that. But if they get through the next tranche of aid, that 31.5 billion, do you still think that the coalition is going to remain or could weaken after that?
Absolutely. Greece doesn't really have a history of coalition governments. The coalition partners really are at each other's throats. The Democratic left is kind of a wild card in that they have a lot of red lines, all of which will be crossed by the measures that they're trying to negotiate with the Troika now. So I agree with you that Greece will probably get the next tranche of funding, but that could well be the last one.
Just very quickly on Spain, do you think Spain is going to be able to last till the end of the year without actually approaching the rescue funds for aid?
I don't think so. I think there's been some complacency in the markets, but I think come November, Spain will be pushed into requesting some official support by political pressure and also by market pressure. I think, you know, once Greece and Cyprus and Spain can all be dealt with at the same time, brought to the Bundestag at the same time, the Germans will put pressure once again on Spain to ask for some support.
Greene, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.